Okay.
I wonder if it was, I don't know why, but I wonder if it had anything to do with the fact that I scheduled it ahead of time. I'm still trying to figure out how that works, so I don't know.
Um, it could have been.
Yeah,
It could have been.
only
Um,
thing I could think.
but it's like again though, why would they set that feature up if it would do that?
Maybe YouTube needs to continue doing some updates, or maybe I just didn't know what I was doing. That's the
I
only thing I can think.
I think you were okay. I mean,
But
yeah,
anyways,
we
well, we made it.
did.
Are we in? Are we in 30 yet? Are we in 29?
We are on 29.
I think we read that yesterday.
We definitely didn't, trust me.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. So we only read one chapter yesterday,
Oh, okay.
chapter 28 of Exodus, and
Okay.
the New English Standard Version.
All right. Well, let me just go ahead and introduce us. So, welcome. We're doing a spiritual Bible study. So, this is not your average Bible study. So, basically, what we're doing is we're reading a chapter or two a day. Today, we're reading Exodus 29,
Mm-hmm.
and we're taking the lessons, the biblical lessons, and just kind of talking. It's a group conversation, so feel free to comment and let us know, your thoughts and opinions also. We're just kind of talking and sharing and really diving deeper into the word and learning, from different angles and perspectives and really just trying to get a deeper understanding. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes we do
and
both.
you said what?
Just playing. I'm just playing.
Both.
But things definitely get interesting during our studies for sure. There's a lot of deep conversations.
Yeah,
I feel like lately there hasn't really been too deep conversation just because like what we've been reading has been a lot of detailed description on how things are being made right
yeah.
now.
Like the architectural part of it. I feel like this is a man's conversation.
Literally architect, clothes design for all those
Oh yeah,
fashionista
there you go. It's very
design.
detailed with like the measurements and the details and the clothing and the measurements of the things that they're building. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not me personally, I was never good with conversions, so
I don't think many of us were. Okay, let's just be honest. What was the reason? What was the reason?
hey, somebody uses it. It just
True.
ain't
But
me.
I mean, all we should know how to convert is freaking different monies in different countries, really. That's what we
Yeah,
should be knowing.
yeah. But just
But
to quickly let you guys know, so my name is Leo. This is Mariah, and we're both coaches. We both do this, in our free time, really just like we said, trying to get a deeper understanding in our own practice and
mhm.
just to share the word,
Yeah.
just to share the word. So
Mhm.
I think that we're gonna usually how this goes, we start with a recap and then we get into prayer and then we just
Mhm.
get into it.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you should go ahead and start with your recap.
Okay. Well, let me refresh myself here.
Mariah's been doing the recap. Yeah.
um Oh, okay. So basically yesterday was just about the priest's garment. So what they wear to worship, and they're making their cloak, and they have a lot of design like, oh, so I'm glad that Leo has showed us a picture yesterday, and I'm gonna just go off the picture real quick. So basically,
You want
um
me to pull it up again?
Sure. I just don't remember who was wearing the white. Okay, so the priest is wearing a cloak that has don't even know what color. Um, so it's a red cloak, and then he has an underlayer of blue. Yes, he has an underlayer of blue, and then he has like a maroon, reddish other garment. So it kind of looked like this. It looks like he got an apron on, and then he has like his long garment underneath it. That's pretty much what it looks like. The important part of this garment, I feel like, is the
So
yeah.
so this is what the priest wears.
Hmm. And what he has on his chest with all those different colors are stones and crystals and gems. That's
Mhm.
what he has on there, which is very interesting because it was they were very specific on
Yeah.
what they used.
Each stone
Um,
is in a specific place for a specific reason.
yeah.
He also has like nameplates on his shoulders.
To
Uh,
represent the sons of Israel.
mhm. Which all the sons of the priest are wearing this outfit.
Hmm.
And so and then he also has like a little band on his head with his what's that thing called?
Oh, a turban.
A turban. And then on his the bottom of the on the bottom of the robe, he's got pomegranate and bells. I think that's what it said.
Yeah.
So
You know, this you showing me this, I want to muster up the courage to ask somebody like, and it's usually in the Arabian culture that I see people wearing a turban, and I really want to ask them like, what is the reason that you wear a turban for? Um, because from my education on spirituality, I've always been told that it's to protect yourself from absorbing energy from like the outside world or from just people being so close to you when you go into a public place. Um, and that's why they put the turban on. But I really wonder, you know, the reason they do it in this Bible, in our study, and the reason, with Arabian people,
yeah,
which I saw somebody the other day.
that
Next
would
time,
be interesting for
I'm a,
sure.
I'm a get the
Oh, you said you saw somebody
I
today?
saw somebody, I think yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna try to muster up the courage, y'all. I'm gonna try to muster up the courage too when I see different things like culture wise. Um, we'll see how that goes. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, girl.
But okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna read some of these crystals and gems that they were talking about. So in that so four rows of stones. The first row was sardius, topaz, and carbuncle. The second row was emerald, sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row is a ginseng, and a gate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row is a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. Um, so very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, And then, yeah, so basically they're just explaining the way they're attaching all these pieces on the garment, how it's sewed on. Um,
I found a real life version of it.
girl, I don't zoom myself in. I didn't even know I could do that. Did you see that, y'all? I'm sorry, y'all saw my forehead go into like 3D zoom.
I didn't see you because my hair was blocking, but I did see you get really close.
Y'all went to the galaxy of Rayo's forehead. That's really cool. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Interesting. That makes me man, I'm trying to like on a spiritual level, that really makes me feel like this is some Naruto anime stuff.
It
Like,
does have carvings in each of those stones too.
oh cool. It just
Hmm.
makes me feel like, we're in a spiritual warfare right now, or whatever, however they say it. And
Yeah.
like this stuff's real. Like, I'm not even gonna get too deep into it, y'all. But the whole like dark energy and people practicing like dark magic and stuff like that stuff's real
I
because
believe so.
I've seen some stuff and somebody put somebody on blast and the lady who got called out literally like disappeared on the face of her page type stuff because she was doing some stuff with her audience that she shouldn't have been doing. Like she was
Oh,
doing some type of bad energy work. Like that's why you
oh
have to
no,
be mindful of who you're like who
who
you're
you?
whose page you're scrolling on, who you're tuning into.
Yeah, who you're
Because
subscribed to.
you can't just be going on people's pages who are doing like, in my opinion, like scrolling on any but like just doing like tarot reading or like they be doing like things with crystals. Like if you go
Yeah.
like if you're scrolling on TikTok, you can see live. People be
Hmm.
like, girl, I be getting off so fast
Yeah,
sometimes because I don't know them. Like
that's
I don't know what
true.
they're doing. They could do
Isn't
something real quick in 10 seconds. I tune in and they could have did something to me
yeah, that's so
by
true.
just even auditory, visually, auditory.
Yeah,
So you got to really be careful out there, y'all. Like
for
I,
sure.
I didn't really think too much about it, but I'm gonna tell like once that lady I scrolled upon and she like put somebody on blast and was just explaining it's crazy. Like they could be doing hypnosis things to you through the phone.
Yeah,
You got to be
that's
careful.
true. It's definitely true. It's not in. I feel a responsibility to say that it's not necessarily everybody who has, who has some crystals and
Mhm.
do those divination things, because clearly the Bible talks about it and those crystals were used for protection.
Mhm.
But you have to pay attention, you have to know who you're watching and their
Yeah.
intentions behind it. What Mariah's talking about, you can't just be watching anybody because
Yeah.
you don't know the intentions that everybody has. They could be telling you all these great things on camera, and then behind the scenes they're doing a whole, you know, uh ritual. So
Yeah.
you just never know. You really
Mhm.
have to be careful.
Yeah. I feel like you got to really like, before you even look at their stuff that they're doing in life, just kind of follow them on social media and just see
Make
what
sure
they're
they're credited.
see what they're doing, see how the audience are talking to them. See how they're responding to their audience. Like, I don't know, but really how you
Do
feel in your
some research.
body. How do you feel immediately? You should pay attention, be mindful with yourself and how you feeling. If you feeling uneasy, you better get up out of there and then you better go cleanse yourself and go pray.
Yeah,
Go pray for to get cleansed. Shoot.
for
But
sure.
I've definitely I can't lie. I've seen some crazy people on that TikTok live, and it's a no for me. Like I'm immediately gone, like ASAP. Look, I don't judge nobody's color, but sometimes, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well,
Shoot.
and I do definitely, especially with TikTok, like it's anywhere, even on YouTube, but especially on TikTok because of so many young people, and everybody's trying to get TikTok famous, and they're doing things, they're practicing things. You have to really be careful, especially when you're involving yourself with spiritual practices and you're picking up things that you're seeing online, because a lot of people, they might have seen something and then they're just sharing what they seen,
Mhm.
and they're opening all these energetic portals, and then these portals are just open and you're tapping into not just the one thing that you've seen, but all these other portals that's connected to that one thing that you've seen, and now you're just kind of being tossed around all these portals and you don't even know why all these things are happening in your life. You're wondering, you're thinking, you're sitting here talking to yourself, I've been doing all these manifestation and positive affirmations and my life is going through it, and you're wondering why. It's because you tapping into the wrong things.
Are you meaning like if you were scrolling on like TikTok and different people are telling them different things and they're like absorbing a bunch of different things at once from different people?
That's
And
one thing, but
oh,
another thing is like, certain like some people just don't know what they're doing
oh,
energetically, right? And so
yeah.
some people they'll share some information with you not knowing that they have all these different energetic portals open. So they
Mhm.
have all these different spirits and entities open and they're sharing this information with you and you're tapping into those same portals that they're sharing with you. And you not knowing that they got all this energetic openness. They're just it's like imagine like being a prostitute in those streets, right? And you just
Exactly.
kind of just open
Mm,
for anybody except
yeah.
energetically, right? And you're tapping into that person energetically because they're
Mhm.
sharing good information with you and all that openness that they got, like imagine the STDs and stuff, all that openness that they got, you're taking that on too because of you're practicing and taking on their what they're sharing, you know.
Mm.
So you really just got to be careful and be mindful.
That also, yeah, that had me think like people say spiritual hygiene, you gotta practice that. But
Yeah.
it also had me thinking like people be doing weird stuff. I
Hey.
know we distracted y'all. This is probably be the last thing I'm gonna say. But when you scrolling, I remember one time there was a lady doing something weird with her hands and
Mhm.
I felt weird.
Yeah.
I definitely felt weird, and I was like, never again am I gonna let somebody do some hand movements on the
Yeah.
camera because I literally did feel that, and
Mhm.
like almost like they were taking my energy,
Yeah.
like they
And
weren't
people
giving.
call it like Reiki.
Yeah, it felt like it was being taken from me. It didn't feel like I was gaining it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was weird, you know. And she did happen to be a white lady.
Yeah. You definitely got to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially Reiki stuff. Like I'm just gonna say it because you brought it up. Like if y'all are looking for Reiki healing, there's actual really talented people, like godly gifted people who do Reiki, but
Mhm.
you don't want to just go online looking for some Reiki session. Okay, if
Mhm.
you want to get some Reiki, you need to go in person. Look for somebody in person that you know, like, trust, that
Mhm.
can be there in person with you to get that services. Just
Yeah.
because it's free doesn't mean that it's good for you.
Mhm. Right. Hello.
Give me this.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah,
Mm, mm, mm. But okay, well, back into this.
okay. I'm
That was
gonna
some good stuff, though. It needed to be said
I'm gonna
real
be
quick.
right back. Continue doing your recap. Okay.
Okay. Um. Okay. What we have? Dang. Okay. So they were talking about two stones. Hold on. Okay. So the tabernacle. Um. The tabernacle place that they built, which is a spiritual place for worship, they divided it into two different rooms with a curtain. And one is the most holy place, and then the other is the holy place, right? So the holy place. So Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel. So when Aaron goes into the holy place, he has to be wearing man, what is he wearing? Oh, the breastpiece of judgment on his heart. So it's one of so basically that those crystals, he has to be wearing that when he goes into the tabernacle. Um, what else? Oh, and then they were saying like the turban was going to have a saying holy to the Lord. And it had to be on the forehead and it has to be worn all the time. And it was also made with a pure gold plate, which I thought was really interesting. Holy to the Lord. Um, and then at the end, oh, and they were having sashes also and caps. Um, and and then this was interesting that we found interesting was um they mention, and they shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they go into the tent of meeting, or when they come near an altar to minister in the holy place, lest they bear guilt and die. This shall be a statute forever for him and for his offsprings after him. So we just found it interesting that they had mentioned like guilt, because it's just a strong word, you know. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much it, y'all. It was just basically a lot of description in formation of that, the breast piece. That's what they call that. But we're gonna be on 9, the consecration of the priests.
You mean
And,
29?
yep, chapter 29. And we're about to get into a prayer. Did
All
you
right.
want you want to lead, or you want me to lead?
Um, I'm just gonna say a simple prayer again. Keep it very simple. Divine Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Real quick, I was too tired to mention this last night, but real quick, so I was thinking I was going to do it this time, but I didn't want to waste no time. But when my grandpa used to do the Lord's Prayer like that, he used to stretch, man, he used to stretch that out for a whole like minute and a half. Like he'd be like, uh, ah, Father, who
Uh-uh.
art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
I
And
can't
then
lie,
that's why,
I'm vibing with that, man.
yeah.
When I went in my churches, boy, they was like, Father. Two different churches. Two different churches, y'all. Like yours was like y'all was in that Medea movie where they go up in church, like get it down in that church, boy. And meanwhile, I'm like,
Real girl.
Ave Maria. Two different frequencies, y'all. I was feeling that church over here. Like I wish I could have heard him sing, because that probably would have been good.
Well, my grandpa was, ooh, he was really good. He had a whole album, honestly.
Wow.
Well, back then it wasn't an album. It was a what they call those,
CD.
a cassette disc.
Oh, that is, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause it,
Mhm.
cool. And that would have been so cool if we can get access to that
I really
here.
wish that I had one, honestly, because he had so many different copies. But I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this real
Ask
quick, and
your
then we
aunt,
can get into it. Huh?
ask your auntie.
I still have to ask. Yeah, I have to ask somebody. I don't know if any of my uncles or maybe my aunt might have a copy. But
Hmm.
basically, when my grandpa died in 2016, it was a hot mess, y'all. I don't know if y'all ever experienced death in your family, but like at least in my family, it was very much like when my grandpa passed away, he wasn't like a super rich man. He wasn't super wealthy. He had a few possessions and he was very much a godly man. And I don't think he had any debt, but my family was very possessive over his possessions when he passed away. And so um, it wasn't even like necessarily family that I knew. It was more like my mom's uncles and aunts that I really hadn't met yet. But when he passed away, they was just like pretty much greed over his possessions and like consumed everything to the point where we didn't really get anything. Like my mom doesn't have anything from her father except some pictures and memories, which I
Yeah.
feel really bad about because her father is who raised her.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's just horrible when that stuff happens like that. That's
yeah.
just bad intentions all the way around.
Yeah, it definitely opened up a different perspective in my family for sure.
It's literally a disrespect to the person who's passed, honestly.
It
It's
made
a,
me mad too because like my grandpa was very much like he had multiple gifts like I feel like I do. He was very gifted and talented with music, and so he used to play guitar. He used to
Mhm.
play guitar, and I think he used to play the bass guitar.
Mm,
And he was also a pastor. And he had this beautiful guitar. It was literally this guitar was made out of all wood. Like it was beautiful. And he
mhm.
told me before he passed away, he told me he would, because I'm gifted with music too. He was like, Jesse, I'm gonna give you, because y'all don't know my real name is Jesse. He's like, Jesse, I'm gonna give you, you can have this guitar when I pass away, because I'm named after my grandpa. His name was also Jesse, but he
Uh,
spelled it different. This is Jesse. Mine is Jessy. So
mhm,
he had his name spelled out on the guitar, like engraved
mhm.
in the guitar. He was like, I'm gonna give you this guitar when I pass away. Well, it turns out his family was greedy. They already had plans on where that guitar was gonna go. So,
Man.
and he
Little did
didn't have a
he know,
will, so it was like I had no say so.
yeah, little did he know he should have did that prior.
Yeah,
Little did he know. That's sad.
yeah.
'Cause that's his like that's what I'm saying when people have a I guess that's why it's always important too, because I don't know how much it costs to just have a will, like not do anything special, but just have a will on paper,
Hmm.
of where you want your things to go. I just don't think it costs that much money. I literally don't even know.
I don't know how much it cost either, but I feel like even just setting the intentions and writing it down on paper, even if you don't get it like legally cemented, if you just write it down, write down your wishes for when you pass away. You could do that right now. It doesn't matter how old you are because you don't
True.
know when your last moment is. You know.
True. But I guess what I'm saying though is legally
Yeah,
because a family member, who is greedy like that, they don't won't care. They'll rip that up and throw it away.
that's
And then who's
true.
gonna see it? So like a person of like the court or the lawyer, they need to see that and they need to get that stamped and a copy of it. So
Yeah,
that person they know.
that's true.
But I mean I don't know y'all because just I'm getting too deep into it, but I feel like, when a person is so greedy, they can find loopholes. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, you're right.
who's to not say they'll get rid of some of that stuff before the people get to there? Like, you know,
That's true. That's definitely
why? Mm, yeah, family can get crazy in that sense, but may they find may they find some type of mm, I don't even got the right word. May they repent for their sins. May they repent for their sins and get forgiveness.
I mean, honestly, I still wonder, like, you know, where that guitar went, because
Girl,
I just
it
don't
would
know.
be cool if you could somehow get it back, but
But I'll definitely try to reach out to some family, see if somebody still has his cassette tapes. Because if they do, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna blast. Because my grandpa he had a whole album. I think he had two. Like, yeah, he was jamming.
yeah, that's really cool and sentimental added to the Bible study,
Hmm.
especially like in the beginning or towards the end.
Yeah,
That'd be a vibe.
that'll be our little vibe setter.
Yeah.
Grandpa Jesse up in the building.
All
Right. All right,
right.
girl. Let's get into this.
Yes, ma'am. All right, I'll start reading. Consecration of the priest, chapter 29. Now this is what you in Exodus, y'all. Now this is what you shall do to them to consecrate them, that they may serve me as a priest. Take one bull of the herd and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread, unleavened cakes mixed with oil, unleavened wafers smeared with oil. You shall make them of fine wheat flour. So, you shall put them in one basket and bring them in the basket and bring the bull and the 2 rams. You shall bring Aaron and his son to the entrance of the tent of meeting and wash them with water. I just find it interesting, as it's getting colder, we all be wanting to be at home baking something. And they really over here talking about all these baking stuff, talking about some cake, wafers, unleavened bread. It's a lot
Yeah.
going on right now.
Well, I think it's very significant that we're reading this, especially at
Mhm.
this time of year, because I don't know what it is, but it's something about and I'm realizing this and I'm saying this, I'll be honest, like I'm not very diligent in it. It is something I want to be more diligent in, which is cooking at home and really taking that time. And I know like we have really fast paced lives right now, and it seems like time's just moving faster than what it's ever moved before. But like taking that time to prepare food for yourself at home,
Mhm.
and instead of going out and buying food, it's like I don't know what it is, but I just feel like there's a lot of value, especially at this time of year, to just take that time, you know, not only just like spiritual value, but value for your body health.
Yes, absolutely. And it like has me thinking too, it's the whole intention and the energy that's going into the food. Like you've worked for it, you've prepped it, now you know what's in it. And you can enjoy that gratification of being done. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get done with a task, when you get done, and when you get it
Mhm.
done, you feel good, right? You put in the work, you can enjoy that nice meal that you've prepared for yourself, and it has me thinking, you ever hear that line like, what they be saying, you know, I ain't had to cook it, so it tastes better this way.
Oh yeah,
But
it tastes
y'all,
better when someone else makes it.
yeah, it tastes better when somebody else makes it, but they made it at home and it just hit different.
Yeah,
It just like we did a lot of cooking in my household, and my dad used to get down and dirty with it. And like I can't even explain. Like the fast food industry ain't got nothing compared to what my daddy did in that kitchen. Okay, so she's right. She's right, y'all. Like she was cooking at home. It hit different. Like I think it's
yeah,
more of the convenient, and it's the convenient, uh, or it's just the easy access to the fast food that we like. And honestly, probably some of them chemicals that they be putting in that food, honestly, that makes it
so
so addicting, y'all. Like probably the grease itself,
yeah.
does to our minds.
Girl, I
That
ain't
just,
gonna lie. Every time you be talking about your dad when y'all was thrown down, bro, I be like, man, I wish I knew y'all when I was
listen,
younger.
I'm not playing, y'all. When I say
Girl.
this, like we would have fish fries, even, and I'm telling you, people would come through our driveway, like friends, family, even a random person. Sometimes I'm like, what's going on back here? Like, what's going on. We're cooking. We are cooking the food that you are smelling through your nostrils. Just say you want some. Just say you want some.
Shoot, I know I would have pulled up real quick.
Girl, we did a lot. We did a lot. But yeah,
Like, see
we
your mom. I'm finna go to my friend's house real quick. Her daddy cooking something Hispanic today. I don't know, but the
literally
rice hit.
we always cooked in abundance too. So there was always a lot to go around for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, that stuff hit different, y'all. Like
Yeah. Me and Mariah were friends in a younger past life. That's why we're
Oh,
here now.
wait, what?
We were friends at a younger age in a past life. That's what
Oh,
I'm trying to say. I
the
just wish it was this life.
this life. I wish it was, Jess. It was because like it would have been so fun, like going on our fishing trips together. Like when my aunt went beyond, above and beyond, packing lunch, bro.
Yeah. But
She get
I feel like I feel like we would have been a handful too, just because you know me and you be in some shenanigans too.
oh yeah. But listen, y'all, my aunt would have buy those dollar, like back in the day they were $1, the loaves at Walmart. She'd buy so many of them loaves and literally y'all just be making these big sandwiches. Like it would have everything in the sandwich, y'all. You cannot be picky. Okay, because everything's in the sandwich, y'all. And I'm trying to tell you, if I could just have that memory one more time, everything would come back. Come back. I float to like a different dimension at that time frame in my life because you just can't make it. Like I've never tasted anything like it. Like that's something for my aunt to be doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like when we're making food at home, and if we haven't had it for a long time and we eat it, like memories start flowing kind of back. Like it takes you back to that time frame in your life.
Yeah.
That's kind of powerful.
Yeah.
Yo, remember in the Bible when he said like it was a certain thing that he would consume and it would remind him it was that powdered stuff that he was gonna make put it in a jar and it was going to remind him of his brothers or something. You remember that in the book?
Are you talking about when God made it rain bread and they saved it for the altar?
Oh, not they didn't save the bread specifically, but they put something in a jar and it was preserved.
The powdery doughy stuff that they would find on the floor, right?
Oh, if that's what it was. I don't remember what it was.
That's what it was. The powdery substance that they were like, and they would find in the morning. That was the bread, and I forgot what they called it. They called it something else, something with
Hmm.
an M. But they put it in a jar and set it on the altar to remember something.
Yeah, it was to remember like the people before him. It was
Oh
to
yeah.
remember certain people. But I don't know. That just came into my mind talking about this food because whether you want to or not, you eat something that you haven't had in a long time, you're literally going to be back in that time frame for a second.
Hmm. That's
Literally.
true.
And memories are going to flood. So that's really interesting, actually.
I like that you brought that up.
Like, you're like for, ooh, you're like for a minute having like an outer body experience and you're literally going back.
Mm,
Like when you're in a dream and you're looking at events, that's probably how it's kind of going to be. You're going to just remember seeing yourself and that's deep.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really
Wow.
that's like those scenes in those movies that you see all the time in like a sci-fi movie. And yeah, like they're literally like when they like I'm gonna just use this analogy. If somebody passes and they're having visions of when they were younger and they're just standing there looking in. Like that's how it would be. You know what I'm saying? When you have a flashback during your childhood.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
That's crazy.
It's interesting that you say it like that too, though, because like I've been thinking a lot about just like struggling with some of the memories from your childhood, but that would be a great way to trigger some of the memories to flood back.
Yeah, girl. See what your mama used to feed you or what you used to make that you haven't had in a long time. Um, can you think of anything?
Um.
I'm sorry, I laugh, y'all, because for me, I think it'd be like cook that whole pig that they used to cook in the backyard.
Oh my God.
The whole hog they used to cook in the backyard, and
Wow,
and it's because I haven't had that experience in a very years, probably a decade.
that's
To
intense.
do that. I got porked out during my childhood. I cannot even eat bacon like that. Like I can't. Too much pork was consumed during my childhood,
A whole
which
pig, gross.
yeah,
No,
like the
see, I don't know if anybody can relate to me. We ain't like my mom was a single mother. She worked a lot, so we didn't cook like that. I remember a lot of like struggle meals. Like, there's two things I remember specifically. There used to be this one thing that I really enjoyed when I was younger. It was a struggle meal, and we would just take like bread. Back then, it was white bread, and we would toast it, and then we would put some butter on it, and then we would put some cinnamon and some sugar, and it would be like toasted cinnamon sugar, and it was so
mhm.
good. It was really good.
Oh, like a
Um,
dessert
huh?
treat,
Yeah,
like
like
a
a little sweet treat.
yeah.
Mhm. We would also do that with tortillas. Like I would cut the flour tortillas up in triangles and fry them, and then put the sugar and cinnamon on it. That was
That's where
good
that
too.
came from. They
Yeah.
had that in school.
Yeah, I brought it to school a couple times.
That was
Um,
good.
mhm.
Actually.
The other thing was my mom, she would always think of like, try to think of ways to feed us all like quickly and simple. And so, she used to do these ground beef tacos, and it's not ground beef, ground turkey. She would literally just cook ground turkey and then tacos, and then just that's what we would have.
Oh,
Ground turkey tacos. But we had ground turkey tacos so often I just refuse to eat turkey anymore. Like I won't even touch it.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's deep.
I got some ground turkey in my fridge right now, but it's for my dog. I refuse to eat it.
Like I refuse.
No, we're still
Oh,
doing the Bible study. We're just kind of
yeah.
talking right now. Um,
Yeah, this Bible study definitely took its course, but a lot of good discussions, okay? A
yeah.
lot of good discussions with this one.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, let's get back into it, girl. I think
Okay. Dang
think you're at 3.
for real.
Yeah. See, we didn't even get too deep into it, so you came at the right time.
Yeah. Um, you shall put them in one basket and bring them in the basket, and bring the bull and 2 rams. You shall bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting and wash them with water. Then you shall take the garments and put on Aaron the coat and the robe on ephod, and the ephod and the breastpiece, and gird him with the skillfully woven band of the ephod. And you shall set the turban on his head and put the holy crown on the turban, which I'm assuming the holy crown is that piece that
That
has
metal
the,
piece that goes around his forehead.
yeah, old piece that said the Lord. What did
I'll
it say?
show you guys this outfit one more time since there's
Mhm.
people in here now. Uh, let me
Um,
see.
something of the Lord. Say. Oh, holy to the Lord is what that piece says. Come
Yeah.
on.
So this is the outfit that the priest would wear, um, that we're describing right now.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like though, because it sounds like, when you're reading this right now, it
Hmm.
sounds so okay, clearly God is still talking to Moses. And it's
Yeah.
almost as if he's telling Moses like this is a kind of like a ceremony where he is literally um presenting, or like the other way I would say it is to delegate it. That's how I would say it because I'm a business person.
Hmm.
But he's literally like putting this gown on him as if like honoring him with this new responsibility
Yeah.
as a
Hmm.
priest.
Yeah. and even like washing them. So they're cleansing them before they put these garments on as well,
Mhm.
which is really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I called it kinda like a ritual, 'cause, like, there's a step-by-step process in order
mhm,
to be is the word that's what consecration to in order to be consecrated as a priest. Yeah.
yeah,
I wanna look up that word real quick.
consecrate.
Yeah. To make or declare sacred, to devote irrevocably irrevocably to the worship of God by a solemn ceremony. So so
Hmm.
yeah, I called it a ritual, but I guess another way of saying it is like this is a ceremonial moment that's
Yeah,
happening.
for sure.
A sacred ceremonial moment. Let's be intentional with our words.
I'm bothered. um, all right. You shall take the anointing oil and pour it on his head and anoint him. Then you shall bring his sons and put coats on them. And you shall gird Aaron and his sons with sashes and bind caps on them. And the priesthood shall be theirs by a statute forever. Thus you shall ordain Aaron and his sons. You shall bring the bull before the tent of the meeting. Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the head of the bull. Then you shall kill the bull before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Interesting. They about to sacrifice. I thought they were just talking about a bull skull at first, but they're talking about an actual bull that they're about
Yeah.
to sacrifice before going into the meeting, which is a sacrifice for the Lord. And shall take
Which makes sense though, because they always have to have some kind of a sacrifice unto the Lord when they're, bringing anything to the altar.
yeah. Um take blood, put blood.
We're at 11.
Yeah.
Which, by the
They,
way, if you guys don't know, we are reading Exodus 29. We're on verse 11, if you're
yeah.
unaware.
The English Standard Version. And shall take part of the blood of the bull and put it on the horns of the altar with your fingers. And the rest of the blood you shall pour out at the base of the altar. And you shall take all the fat that covers the entrails and the long lobe of the liver and the two kidneys with the fat that is on them and burn them on the altar.
Hmm.
That's very interesting.
I
But
think
the
it's interesting that they specifically included
liver and kidneys and two kidneys.
and not
Oh,
to cut off the fat.
yeah. That is interesting, but also they're specific. The long lobe of the liver and two kidneys. They're specific about those organs,
Yeah, it's a very
which the kidneys and the liver basically function as a, you
as a
know, detoxification in the body, honestly.
mhm.
Like you need that. You
They're
need
like
that.
filtrations.
You said what?
They're like filtrations for your body to pull out any like um what do you call those like free radicals? Why
Mm-hmm.
did they have to do all that? Are you teaching about animal sacrifices? Um we are reading the word right now. So this
Yeah.
is literally what it says
Mm-hmm.
and um I believe I believe that I think times is different, a lot different now, but they definitely talk a lot about animal sacrifice back then. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now the intention behind animal sacrifice, um, I feel it's a deeper meaning that I can't fully. explain right. I can't fully explain, but it's something with the blood, with the Lord, and you know, just having having some kind of sacrifice. I will say, I will say there is another what do you call it? Like a principle, I guess you can kind of say, and it's kind of like a principle. I
Mhm.
call it the law of equivalent exchange. And basically, the law of equivalent exchange is in order to gain something, something must be lost. And so I believe that, a lot of times they would use an animal sacrifice in order to gain wisdom, knowledge, or something from the Lord. This is back in, we're still reading the Old Testament. So um, that's kind of why that's what I think, why they use an animal sacrifice. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm not even too sure, honestly, but I know, like, respectfully, like, since we have to consume, since people have had to consume animals, I don't think they've had to. I think it was a choice
it was a
eventually.
choice.
And, I know back in the times, a lot of people gave respect to the animal, as they killed
Mhm,
it, and they utilized almost everything from the animal, right? They used everything from the skin of that animal to make clothes,
mhm,
to like they saved the fat for many things. And they like the fatty parts of the animal too were really healthy actually. Now we're talking about the liver and the kidneys because
mhm.
they are like fatty. They have a lot of nutrients in those organs.
Yeah,
So there's different organs of the animals, but you know, um, I guess I'm just quickly just start thinking about Indian people, just the way that they utilize everything and they just they bless that animal in all the ways that they can bless it. And
mhm,
then they just give back to their spirituality, like, let it
yeah.
be a sacrifice for you, but then also they don't want to waste nothing. So they may use, the things that they don't give to the Lord. So it's not going to waste.
And I kind of think that it's supposed to be that way too, where whether we're using something for sacrifice or we creating something, whether we're
Mhm.
destroying something or creating something, that all these things that they're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be creating so much waste. Like there's other ways
Yeah.
to utilize these things,
Mm.
and I think this specifically because of while we were talking about them building the ark, and he was very intentional about, you know, talking about when they're building to specifically have people who are skillful in what they're doing, um, and being intentional about what they're building, you
Mm.
know. And so it's like everything has a purpose, and so to just waste it, you know, I feel like that's kind of
A disgrace.
yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
And yeah. And I just
I
wanted to
will.
say, oh, go ahead.
Um, well, you could go ahead.
No, I was just gonna tell her too, like, we're reading this Bible and there's just many circumstances where they're going to be talking about sacrificing of an animal and
Yeah,
possibly of a person, but I don't think we've ever really seen it as a person. It's almost been like a just to show the Lord like we will if we have to.
yeah,
And then the Lord like stops them like, okay, like no, like I get how like much you will what is it? I don't even know. How I get how much you will lead for me and do whatever
yeah.
it takes, but I don't want you to take it that far.
Talking about Isaac and his son.
Probably, yeah,
Mhm.
we're put him up there
Or I
and
think that was Abraham and his son Isaac. Yeah. But I will off of what you're saying. Well, before I say that, let me go back before I forget. I was gonna say too, we are still in the Old Testament. So in the Old Testament, they do have a lot of sacrifice. Now we haven't gotten to the New Testament yet, but in the New Testament, that's where they introduce Jesus and they talk about Jesus. I know with Jesus, they use Jesus as the ultimate sacrifice. And
mm,
so because of Jesus in our age, in our day and age now, we don't have to use animal sacrifices. We don't have to use human sacrifices because Jesus is the ultimate sacrifice. Now, that doesn't say that when you go into your altar, when you're, praying to the Lord and you're presenting and you're asking to receive something, that you shouldn't still bring some kind of a sacrifice. I think the sacrifice looks different than how the Old Testament says. It's not like a physical animal sacrifice. I believe personally, you know, in our new day and age when we're talking about sacrifice, it looks more like, maybe you're sacrificing, you're laying on the altar your old ways of thinking, doing, and being. You're laying on the altar, things that don't serve you anymore. Like, for example, some of those old sinful ways that you used to be. This and it's not so much, I would call it a sacrifice, but another way you could say it is repentance. So it's repentance from sin. It's laying out those old things, like say you're a person that you like to go to work and your coworkers start gossiping about another coworker and you're entertaining it. That would be something that you sacrifice to the Lord. And in that sacrifice, you give it up. And so when that moment comes up again and your coworkers are talking to you, you don't entertain that. If anything, you, hey, shrug, I don't know, and change the topic. You don't engage in those old ways of thinking, being, and doing anymore. That's what I believe in our new age now. But I do believe that the Old Testament does like talk about sacrifice, like animal sacrifice and things this way, because I know it's kind of like very gruesome and abrupt, but I believe that it had to be that way in the old days. But there's principles that we're able to take from how it used to be this way. If we can look beyond just the surface level of what it is, the surface level of an animal sacrifice, and look deeper into it,
Yeah.
into the principle and the meaning behind why they're doing that, what they're doing. There's a lesson in that we can carry in today.
Yeah. And that's what we're always saying too. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that's happening in the Bible. A lot of things are just out of the ordinary. And the whole point of the Bible is to, process it and also look at it from like a third party perspective, like,
Hmm.
looking outside the box and kind of, like she said, finding the underlining meaning of what is being discussed, because you got to put your feelings and emotions out of it for a second so that you can really process. Like you said, there's a lesson in there, something that is to be taught and something that you need to be asking yourself questions, so that you can kind of understand and start reflecting. And that's when you start
Yeah,
thinking deeply and where we can have these deep conversations.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
all these conversations are, pleasing to the ear, or what you want to hear, but
Mhm.
it is something that we need to learn from. I
Yeah,
do believe that.
yeah.
So,
But I'm gonna read this last sentence and I'm gonna let you take over. Um,
okie dokie.
but
Where you at again?
so I'm on 14. So we read about the last thing is the kidneys and the liver being in the
Okay, yeah.
burn at the altar. But the flesh of the bull and its skin and its dung you shall burn with fire outside the camp, because it is a sin offering. So I thought that was really
Huh.
interesting. But you're not supposed to offer as an offering and like the skin,
Oh,
the fur, and like well, obviously you don't want to sacrifice no poop from an animal. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
Well,
then
I'm
yeah.
thinking it's interesting because, well, it's reminding me. I don't remember where they said this in the Bible, but remember they said something about you should not eat the flesh. You should not eat flesh, the flesh of
But
animal, the flesh of, yeah, the flesh and the blood.
mhm.
Um, and it's making me think like, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know how to connect it, but the only I can think of is like, our skin is literally the biggest organ on our body. And I don't know exactly why it would be a sin to eat the flesh part of like of the body,
What if it's like
but
cannibalism?
well, even the flesh of animals, you know,
Well, I
even
mean,
the flesh of animals.
I'm just
Because they're not saying anything about the muscle part. Like, I think they're saying, burn the kidneys and the liver for an offering, burn the flesh and the poop outside for a sin offering, but they're not saying anything about the muscle part. So I
well,
don't think it's necessarily like, I mean, you don't call it cannibalism from eating an animal,
no, you
is
don't.
it?
But I don't know, the skin just had me thinking. But the other thing that I was thinking too was like because our skin is the thickest organ, what if when it comes to like nutrients or something like there's excessive amount of something in the skin that we're not supposed to be consuming in abundance like
Oh,
because if it is
that could,
the organ, that's a lot. That's a lot of material to be consuming your body. Like
yeah.
what if
Well,
it what if
I was kind of thinking since it's like the barrier from, our external world, and it's like the protective layer of our internal world, and it's literally the wall that separates that. And so maybe I don't know if it's got something to do with it being dirty. And I'm saying ours, but I'm saying ours, but I mean, human, animal, you know, maybe that's the reason why they specifically say to eat the skin of anything is a sin
that's interesting.
because it's the boundary or the barrier.
It is interesting. Well, it's really interesting because they definitely
Yeah.
sell the skin of you know what I'm saying. They sell the skin of meat. That's what's
Yeah.
when you go buy it. It's a lot of skin.
That's why I
Some
keep
people
thinking of chicharrones, you know.
think about all that
Chicharrones
chicken.
is
Has
huh?
all that fried chicken. Isn't that is that fat or is that skin?
There is skin on fried chicken.
Me
It's not always skin on fried chicken, but
for the
there's skin on fried chicken sometimes.
for the most
But I
part,
keep thinking of chicharrones because that's literally
skin.
skin,
Yeah.
and that's only skin.
And yeah, and that's just a whole Hispanic culture. Like that's a popular thing. They'll smush it, put it in beans, and then like Puerto Ricans, they like literally fighting over the skin because the skin it has the best flavor and stuff. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, some scary thoughts when it comes to that. Like that's a whole other video because what is the reason? What the reason? Hey, yo, I was grew up in the environment without any knowledge.
Girl.
We made question everything.
Now you're right about that piece
But
right there.
I
Definitely
definitely
question everything.
I definitely don't agree with the amount of pork that we've consumed. Y'all, they say pork, I think it's even scientifically backed up, but I'm not sure. But like, it's just the most kind of dirtiest animal, honestly, like to consume and put in your body when it comes to. I don't want to give you a visual, but you're gonna
Yeah.
have to cleanse yourself if you eating
Yeah.
pork. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll pick up here. So I'm on verse 15.
Yeah.
Then you shall take one of the rams, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the head of the ram, and you shall kill the ram, and shall take his blood, and throw it against the sides of the altar. Then you shall cut the ram into pieces, and wash its entrails and his legs, and put them put them with its pieces and its head, and burn the whole ram on the altar. Um, it is a burnt offering to the Lord. It is a pleasing aroma a food offering to the Lord. Oh, so first of all, it made me think. Wait, she said because it was considered unclean and the flesh isn't just skin. That's like eating raw meat. God's laws were to protect them. Also, a lot of the laws he gave were the practice of the Egyptians. Huh. A lot. Do you mean the laws that he gave were practices against the Egyptians? Because I can understand that then, because what they're doing right now, so we're in Exodus, and he literally just freed the Israelites from Egypt. They've been on a long journey, and in this journey in the wilderness that they've been taking, okay, yeah, I can understand that then, because he's been taking them on a process to try to strip them from the slave mentality that the Egyptians put on them. And so maybe he's trying to get them to stop practicing some of them old practices. That makes a lot of sense.
What was
That
she
makes a lot of
what
sense.
was she answering?
She was talking about when we were talking about why they're specifically saying not to eat, like to use the skin as a sin offering.
Oh, okay.
hmm but I was gonna say, first of all, I think it's interesting how they were very specific about kill the ram, cut it up, and clean the insides, the entrails. When they're saying entrails, I'm thinking all the intestines. So I mean, I the first thing I thought about was what's that called? Chitlins. They're not talking about eating it, but that's what I thought about when they're like, make sure you clean the intestines and then in the feet. We've already talked about cleaning the feet as like representing because your feet are like the dirtiest part because they walk on the ground.
Yeah.
And then use that whole thing after you've cleansed it properly. Use that whole thing as a food offering. Now, when they were talking about the food offering, it made me think about, how I don't know if anybody else has done this, but I know I have a lot of times when like like a loved one has passed away. Well, I'll use like a like when I go to their grave site, I'll bring like something that they used to really love to eat. Like I think of a specific friend that passed away a couple years ago, and he used to. I'm in Wisconsin, like Kenosha area, right? And so he used to really like this place called, I think it's called uh, the Spot or One Spot, something like that. And he used to really love the cheeseburgers there.
Mm.
That was like his favorite thing. And so when I go to visit his grave, oftentimes I'll make sure I'll stop and grab him a cheeseburger to bring as a food offering on his grave and leave it there. And that's kind of what it made me think of. Like, the Lord's not trying to get no cheeseburger, clearly, but he liked the aroma of the ram.
He's like, it was smelling good.
Yeah.
Mouth watering.
Yeah.
Delicioso.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, who don't like a good like aromas from food? You know what I'm saying? That smell will just uplift you.
Yeah.
Uplift you.
For sure.
Mama, what you cooking, Daddy? Hi, daughter. Oh
You
God.
remind me of this one, I don't know if y'all okay, there's this little skit dude on YouTube. He has this puppet. His name is Duke. It's like Duke and Grandma. I don't know if y'all seen it. Let me know. It's so funny. But it's this little puppet, and they often do like how little kids be when, and his grandma will be cooking cooking on
Oh,
the grill or something, and she's like cooking chicken on the grill. He's like, "Oh, what's that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm cooking chicken." And he keeps getting closer to the grill. She's like, "Get back!" Like, yo, listen.
I know what you're talking about, and that thing is so hilarious. They're
Yeah, girl.
like, I wish we knew the name because they will literally, if you're having a bad mood, just watch a couple of those videos. They'll get you right back on
Yeah.
track. I know exactly who you're talking about. That's the funny.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So I'm at verse 19. It says, "You shall take the other ram and Aaron and his sons." Wait, did I
Yeah.
already read that?
No, you're good.
"And his sons shall lay their hands on the head of the ram, and you shall kill the ram." No, I did read this.
No, because this is some other stuff in here.
"You shall kill the ram and take part of his blood." Yeah. "You shall kill the ram and take part of his blood and put it on the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and on the tips of the right ears of his sons, and on the thumbs of their right hand, and on the great toes of their right feet, and throw the rest of the blood against the sides of the altar. Then you shall take part of the blood that is on the altar and of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron and his garments, and on his sons and his sons' garments with him. And no, he and his garments shall be holy, and his sons' garments with him. Um, so I think it's interesting. I just think this is really interesting. Specifically, how, okay, blood on the ear, blood on the thumb, blood on the toes, which makes me think of, okay, your right side is your most holy side from head to toe, right? That's kind of what that made me think of. Your right side is your most holy side from head to toe. Not only that, um, I think it's interesting, specifically the right side.
Mm.
One thought it made me think of, I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but um, like for me personally, my right side has always been a little more fluent than the left side. Which I what I mean by that is like my left side of my body is always just a little stiffer than the right side, and it's just naturally like that. But I don't know if anybody else experiences that, but I do know, like at least for facial expressions, like if you look at your face real close, your right side and your left side don't match. They're two different sides. So I just think it was really interesting for that specific matter of, you know, it kind of makes me also think of like a blessed a blessed side and a slight like a sinful side. But from them doing that, how that made them holy, how that was like them being consecrated in God and made them like built their connection with the Lord, the Spirit, I just really thought that was interesting.
Well, I'm really glad you brought up that the right side is supposed to be most holy because I've never heard of that statement.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That is very
Yeah.
interesting. And honestly, like when we're hearing about the ears and stuff, like the finger, the toe, that make me think we need to know some about. Sorry, y'all, my eyes itching. We need to know some things about the Chinese medicine because they're the ones, who. Well, I don't know who started it first, but when you think about reflexology, you think about all the parts of your body, you think about acupuncture, like you think about the Chinese people, culture and how I'm just saying, like, maybe they even know some more information about why the ear, the tip of the ear, why the toe, and just like specific things that they were just listing right now, because I'm sure like
Yeah.
there's a seriously deeper meaning. Just like they say the toe, controls certain functions in the body, like a certain part is connected with it, like a certain organ or something. You could press on your big toe and it could like relax something up here. You know,
Yeah.
everything's
Oh, you're talking about like acupuncture type.
yeah, or like reflexology. You know,
Oh yeah.
so I really wanted to get into that honestly, because they even used to say like you put a pressure point and it'll stop a headache. I remember I used to wash. I looked up something one time and tried it, and it actually it actually did like relieve some type of pressure where it like stopped my
Mm.
headache for a moment. I will not forget that. It was pretty cool. Are you
Hmm.
falling asleep on me? Oh, it
Me?
froze.
Oh no.
Y'all,
Yeah.
this is what I saw on camera. I'm not even
Just froze when my eyes were blinking.
finished.
No.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, okay. Let me
She said, "Where does it say the right side is holy?" I've never heard of that. It doesn't say that
oh.
specifically. I was just saying because they specifically talked about the right ear, the right thumb, the right toe, the right big toe.
Mhm.
It was all on the right side. And we also talked about previously how the blood the blood is sacred is because it's the connection between us and the Lord. And
Mhm.
so that's why I said that way.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm at 22.
Okay.
You shall also take the fat from the ram and the fat tail and the fat that covers the entrails and the long lobe of the liver and the two kidney with the fat that is on them and the right thigh, uh, for it is a ram of ordination, um, and one loaf of bread, and one cake of bread made with oil, and one wafer out of the basket of unleavened bread that is before the Lord. You shall put all these on the palms of Aaron and on the palms of his sons, and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. Then you shall take then you shall take them from their hands and burn them on the altar on top of the burnt offering as a pleasing aroma before the Lord. It is a food offering to the Lord.
Did they it felt like they repeated this, doesn't it? Like this
Um,
echo, like talking about they're talking about more like leaving it for a food offering and so that the aromas, can be given to the Lord.
it is a lot of it is a lot of food sacrifices that they're giving to the Lord right now.
Mhm.
It it was a little different just because they're using bread now. They're using unleavened bread.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
so you shall take the breast of the ram of Aaron's ordination and wave it for a wave offering
Oh,
before the Lord. Now I wonder what a wave offering is though. And
um,
it shall be your portion, and you shall consecrate the breast of the wave offering that is waved, and the thigh of the priest's portion that is contributed from the ram of ordination, from what was Aaron's and his sons. It shall be for Aaron and his sons as a perpetual due from the people of Israel, for it is a contribution. It shall be a contribution from the people of Israel, from their peace offerings, their contribution to the Lord.
it is interesting, real quick though. Like the reason there are so many sacrifices is because it's for multiple people. Like Aaron's his brothers, and etc. The priests, like they all have their individual offering that they're giving to the Lord. And
Hmm.
then now they just said like the people of Israel. So now there's like another sacrifice in memory or in regards to the people of Israel. So now I get it.
Yeah,
Like it's a lot of repetition but I'm getting it now why there's a lot of different items being sacrificed.
yeah. Um, the
20.
holy garments of Aaron shall be for his sons after him. They shall be anointed in them and ordained in them, the sons who succeeds him as priest, who comes into the tent to meet to minister in the holy place. No, who comes into the tent of meeting to minister in the holy place shall wear them 7 days. You shall take the ram of ordination and boil its flesh in a holy place. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram, and then bread, and the bread that is in the basket, and in the entrance of the tent of meeting. They shall eat those things with which atonement was made at the ordination and consecration. Um, but an outsider shall not eat of them because they are holy. So specifically, only the ram skin is what it sounds like. Is what is allowed to be eaten,
Interesting.
and specifically sounds like I don't know. Shoot, when I think of a ram, honestly, I'm thinking of like in astrology, I'm thinking of like Aries. Aries is the ram. Aries is also the lead of the astrology chart. Like that's the beginning.
Mm.
Um, but I'm also thinking of like um I don't know why specifically the ram, but it sounds like, you know, sounds like the Lord really desires the ram. Like that's his favorite.
Mm.
That's my favorite.
The symbolism. The
Yeah.
symbolism.
Makes me go want to look up what the ram represents.
Yeah.
And if any of the flesh for the ordination or of the bread remains until the morning, then you shall burn the remainder with fire. Should not be eaten because it is holy. So eat what you can, and the rest is sacrifice. Makes
Mm.
sense. Mariah, you want to pick up
Where you at?
35?
Okay. Thus you shall do to Aaron and to his sons according to all that I have commanded you. Through 7 days you shall ordain them, and every day you shall offer a bull as a sin offering for atonement. Also, you shall purify the altar when you make atonement for it, and you shall anoint it to consecrate it. 7 days you shall make atonement for the altar and consecrate it, and the altar shall be most holy. Holy, whatever touches the altar shall become holy. So, oof, what did we say? Practice that cleansing energy, like, you know, you have to, whatever you're working on energetically, you need to constantly be cleansing it. You need to cleanse the space because things
Yeah.
absorb negative energy real quick, you know, whatever comes by it or whatever, any negative thoughts, just that type of stuff.
I looked up that word atonement,
Yeah.
and it means reparation for a wrong or injustice.
So make it
And
wrong or right. I mean, not make it wrong.
reparation is the making amends for a wrong
Yeah.
one has done by paying money or or by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged.
Mm.
So yeah, basically by making a wrong a right.
Um. So, what's the meaning for ram? Like a spiritual meaning of ram? Making it wrong or right.
Okay, I'm gonna look up two different.
Okay.
Okay, so it says ram. I'm gonna read a couple different things. It says ram symbolizes determination, power, and leadership. Does not fear failure, knowing that it's a necessary training ground for greater things to come. Um, uh, as you take charge, okay, so that makes me think of this process that the Israelites are on, anyways. They're in the
Mm.
training grounds for better. a better way of living. Hold on one second, I gotta get a charger for this phone.
Ooh,
They're the training grounds for a better way of living, like to really reprogram their way of thinking from that slave mentality.
mm-hmm.
That's kind of one thing. And then let's see, so this other one says the spiritual significance represents the power to penetrate, overcome, and achieve. Um, so it's like a breakthrough. That's kind of what it makes me think of too.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last one I'm gonna read is this last one I'm gonna read says this one is the biblical meaning. So the biblical meaning is wisdom and discernment. It also represents sacrifice, protection, and guidance.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Some good stuff. Some good terms and definitions. I'm glad we got some clarity on that.
Tom needs to calm down.
Yeah, calm
I'm
down.
sorry. That's the first time I've been able to hear him clearly, bro.
I know he just got on the phone and he's talking about the game. But y'all, sports goes hard in Arizona, man.
Yeah.
Way
I
harder.
think that's anywhere for any man, honestly.
I am in for a. Oh, there was a little. There was a short video, y'all, and they were saying like, as soon as you hear that man get on the game, get cute, get your purse, and go shopping and sneak the bags in the house. You'll never know. That is too funny. But yeah, this is funny. I just okay. Should wear them for 7 days. It's just interesting because they were saying like they're gonna be wearing these clothes for 7 days, 7 days, and that when they're getting ordained. You read that part?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah. Oh, well, I read it. And I feel like they mentioned something else too, but I'm gonna keep going. It's just interesting. Uh,
You mean the part where anything that touches the altar shall become holy? Or you already talked about that?
I don't think I've said that. I don't know, but there's another part I'm even saying, but they're saying 7 days will be 7 days is the amount of time to ordain somebody. It's like a 7 day process.
Hmm.
It's just like crazy that it's the number seven,
Yeah.
seven,
The
if
full
I'm
week.
not mistaken, like the spiritual symbolism for seven was about like abundance. Like when you
Hmm.
start getting to like seven, eight, nines, it's like really high abundance. Like you're getting closer to just receiving God's blessings, honestly.
Yeah.
Like everything you've been working for and everything in that sense.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Where was I at? What verse?
I think you're at 38.
38. Okay. Um Now this is what you shall offer on the altar. 2 lambs a year. I'm sorry. 2 lambs a year old, day by day regularly. 1 lamb you shall offer in the morning, and the other lamb you shall offer at twilight, which is midnight. And with the first lamb, a tenth measure of fine flour mingled with a fourth of hin of beaten oil and a fourth of hin of wine for a drink offering. The other lamb you shall offer at twilight, and offer it grain offering and its drink offering as in the morning, for a pleasant aroma, a food offering to the Lord. Hold on. First, oh my gosh. Let me just finish reading this. Close aroma. It shall be a regular burnt offering throughout your generations at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, where I will meet with you and to speak to you there. There I will meet you with the people of Israel, and it shall be sanctified by my glory. I will consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar. Aaron also and his sons I will consecrate to serve me as priests. I will dwell among the people of Israel and will be their God. And they shall know that I am the Lord their God who brought them out of the land of Egypt, and I might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. In- Interesting. Shall we really burn offerings at the generation entrance?
There's a lot.
That was a lot. It's just interesting the way they be doing these sacrifices, how they have to have like a certain type of setup with meals. Like in the morning, the offering's gonna be different than at midnight.
Yeah.
Like
I was kind of wondering if morning is a different time than what we think it is, for the simple fact that, you know, midnight and morning. So I think, okay, morning would probably be like when the sun's rising. So somewhere around
oh, early in the morning.
6 or 7.
Oh,
That's what I would think morning would be, sometime when the sun is rising. So around 6 or 7. Um, and midnight is 12 p.m. And
yeah.
those times are so close together, you got the rest of the day. So it's really like you got two lambs to sacrifice in the morning hours.
Oh, I didn't even think about it like that. Cause I thought about it like you're right, but the way I was thinking about it, like 7, you're talking about like you see it as like 7 in the morning, but then you see like 12 right there. So meaning like in your head, you're starting off at midnight, and then you see it from 7 in the morning. You're doing the math. Where me, I'm seeing it from like what you said about 7 a.m. But then like during the whole day, so you got all the way till lunch, then till evening, then till midnight. So I'm looking at it that,
Yeah.
which is longer.
Well, yeah. I'm just thinking like it is longer, but I'm just thinking like that's a bigger gap of time
Mhm.
to then, like, I'm just thinking about the timing of when to sacrifice them. Like when I think about it, like it probably took an hour or two to fully sacrifice, that animal, to burn it, you know,
Mhm.
to fully burn it. Probably took a good hour or two. So like 12 to 1 or 2 in the morning, or let's say it took an hour. So 12 to 1,
True.
you're burning an animal, right?
True.
And then you got, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say 7. So, excuse me,
Right.
that's 6 hours before you got to burn another one. So 6 to 7. And then now some 7 in the morning, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Listen, you right. Like, because
What
look,
is that? 8
I,
hours?
I
7?
probably
No. That was 17 hours. That was 17 hours. The first one was 6 hours between, and then until you got to do it again, you got 17 hours.
that makes sense because y'all, if you cook an animal outdoors the way some cultures do, that takes about like it takes at least 7 hours to get it cooked. Like if you cook an animal, I had to ask my dad, but from what I remember, it was a very long process for if you cook a whole animal outside under fire in a rotisserie, that thing
Yeah.
takes like 7 hours. It takes a long time. I guess depends on the animal, but let's say it's a big old hog we're talking about. That thing takes a long time to cook,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so I guess that's interesting because I didn't even think about like doing the math. I know like in the Bible they're just burning it, they're not cooking it,
Mhm.
but you know Obviously, the time would be shorter, but it is interesting thinking about it like that. Like, how long is it going to take for it to burn?
I mean,
completely?
who knows if the time will I would assume if the time is shorter, then the fire is hotter than if they're just because if it takes 7 hours just to cook it, you know, I would assume it probably takes more than 2 hours to burn it then,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a long time just to cook it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of,
So,
like, depending on the animal that whatever somebody is making or burning, like, depending on the size, it's gonna take a minute.
yeah,
Like, we're talking about, if they're really talking about a bull is a big animal. Like, bulls are never small,
yeah.
you know?
But I also do think it's interesting the specific times. Cause like, okay, so twilight, midnight hour, I think about a lot of times, you know, when you're talking about like witchy women, like they call that the witching hour, midnight. And that's like a really powerful, they pretty much say that's a really powerful, potent hour just
Mhm.
to do intentional magic, you know? And so intentional magic, sacrifice, is specific why they said that hour and then also in the morning. But I just wonder because they really said twilight, okay, which we know is midnight. But I just wonder like if morning is a different hour than what we think it is.
Mhm.
I just wonder.
Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah. This was a long one.
Yeah. It was a very long one, man. I'm gonna talk about this other thing next time that I wanted to mention, so we don't have to go into it deeply. But yeah, I hope that whoever watches this study, I hope they made it all the way to the end. Because I think it was a really interesting one. It was really good, even though it did last a long time,
Yeah.
more than we both,
Went
I'm sure.
we went like 7 minutes longer than we usually do right
Hmm.
now. But okay. Well, yeah, this was a good one. We had a lot of good conversations down from, the food down to animal sacrifice. There's a lot out of this little chapter.
A lot, for sure.
You want to pray us out of here, girl?
Yes. um, Lord, I just wanna say thank you for giving me and Leo the knowledge and your wisdom and just being with us so that we can have deep discussions about your word and about what you want us to put out into the world as well. So I thank you. And I just ask that you put a hand over your people, Lord, and just be present with them. Be present with them in moments of darkness or in moments of negativity, and just remind them to be um, just present with themselves and present with you, Lord, so that they can align themselves in their blessing that you have in store for them. But just remind them that they have to keep following the path that they need to be on, Lord. And I just ask that you put a healing hand over your people and help anybody who is unhealthy at the moment or feeling unwell, Lord, and just get them to a better state um, in their body. Um, Lord, and I just ask that you continue to protect your people, keep them safe from anything going on in the outside world or in their home. Just continue to be present with them and remind them that they are always loved and appreciated. And I just ask you, Lord, that you relieve any burdens that your people are experiencing in the moment, whether mentally, financially, just, you know, clear their mind so that so they don't miss any opportunities that you have in store for them, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. I
Amen.
Why I always want to say amen.
No, that's how it's supposed to be said. Amen.
Girl, we ain't never on point. To rehearse day and night, day and
My
night,
bad. You're right.
and day and night. Okay, well, this was fun. I will see everybody tomorrow on Insta.
Hey. Bye.